It's Lynn from the Wee Glasgow Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to do a purl stitch. So the two main stitches for knitting are a knit stitch and a purl stitch. Once you know those two, you can pretty much do anything. So for this pattern, this is a little square I'm knitting for a baby blanket. So for this pattern I have to knit the first 5 stitches. So again, for knitting, I'm putting the needle through the first stitch, under and over with the wool, pulling it off onto the right hand needle, now the next stitches I'm going to purl. So for purl, when you're knitting, the wool is at the back of your needles, but when you purl you have to bring the wool to the front of your needles, so the wool would be here. So you just simply take it in between the two needles, and when you're purling you're working in to the front of the stitch. So instead of going through that way for knitting, you're going backwards. So you're putting your right hand needle up through the loop in front of your left hand needle, and you're now taking the wool and pulling it round that needle, and again taking the loop off and keeping it on your right hand needle. So I'll do that again. Your yarn's at the front of your work, you're putting the needle up and through the loop for this stitch, your yarn round the needle and pull the loop again through onto that needle. So your needle up through there, yarn round the needle, pull it through, and again needle up, yarn round the needle, pull it through. Now purl stitches are known as a P on a knitting pattern. So if it says P 10 stitches, then you're going to purl 10 stitches. Now you wouldn't ever just purl rows, like say if you knit every row in a pattern, it's known as garter stitch. So if you were going to do a garter stitch, then it would probably tell you to knit every row, it wouldn't tell you to purl every row. If you're doing a knit row, then a purl row after that, that is known as stocking stitch. So if a pattern said knit the following 10 rows in stocking stitch, you would do one row of knit, then another row of purl, and then just alternate until 10 rows have been worked. So for this pattern, the last 5 stitches I have to knit, so I'll do another 3 purl stitches. And now I'm going to change to a knit stitch. So I'm going to take the yarn that's at the front of my work and put it again in between the two needles and take it round to the back of my work. And then I'm going to knit just as before, the yarn through the front of the stitch, pull the loop over, so that's how you do a purl stitch, and that's how you change the wool between a knit and a purl stitch. And as you can see on the front here, it looks as if there's now 2 flat rows, and there's 2 ridges quite close together there. You'll see like all the knitting stitches, there's a ridge, then a flat row, then a ridge, but here there's 2 ridges right next to each other, and that's because we've done a knit row and then a purl row. So if you did more like that, if you did another knit and purl row, there would be more rows flat on this side and another few ridges on that side close together. Okay, and that's how to do a purl stitch. Thanks for watching.